This stuff is called Gorilla, and it's crazy glue. Super glue, they call it, but you know, the first stuff that we had that was super glue was called crazy glue. Here's my little gorilla guy. What do we know about gorillas? Have you ever seen the Planet of the Apes movies? There was a whole pile of old ones that started in about 1967, maybe. And they ran into the 1970s, and then they were redone. In the Planet of the Apes, the gorillas were the army people in the ape world. The gorillas. What were they like? They were kind of dumb. Gorillas were really belligerent, dumb, uncultured, dirty, foul-mouthed. But the one thing that made them good soldiers were they were really big and really tough. And they had no fear, and they could take pain, and they could follow orders. That was the main. That was the main reason why they made good soldiers, because they could follow orders. Planet of the Apes is known as a satire, which means it really wasn't about a bunch of apes. They were humans in ape costumes. You know, the actors playing the gorillas and the apes. And what they were trying to show you was this is a mirror of planet Earth. Different kinds of humans were different kinds of apes. Orangutans were professors at the university. Gorillas were apes and police. Chimpanzees were more action-oriented than orangutans. Smarter than gorillas. But they weren't as big as gorillas. And they were orangutans were very much in their head. They were like intellectuals. Chimpanzees were heart-centered people. Gorillas were all balls, testicles. That was gorillas. Testosterone. So you had orangutans, chimpanzees, and way down there you had gorillas. And that's basically what the authors of Planet of the Apes movies wanted to show you. That's what we have on human society. On human society, we have nothing like apes. It's all basically a foible. In other words, they want you to look at this and say, I'm not an ape. I'm really not an ape. Look at those dumb apes. You know, look at that heroic chimpanzee. And then they had the humans in Planet of the Apes movies. And what were the humans like? Well, the first humans that came to Planet of the Apes, spoiler alert, were astronauts. And what kind of people are astronauts? MacGyver kind of people. If you never saw MacGyver TV show, they were very a lot of ingenuity. And then the other kind of people, again, spoiler alert, that were on Planet of the Apes were mutated humans. They were suffering from radiation poisoning. And what kind of humans were they? They were grayed out humans. A grayed out human? In the olden days, when people used Microsoft Windows on their desktop computers, if you had a computer program, sometimes a choice would be grayed out. In other words, you could click on it, but nothing would happen. It wasn't available. And grayed out humans in Planet of the Apes, the mutants from radiation disease, they were unavailable. I'm not one of those kind of humans, am I? Are you available? What do we mean by unavailable or available? Those humans, why did they have radiation sickness? Because they had been in a nuclear war. Why had they been in a nuclear war? Well, in the 1960s, when Planet of the Apes started becoming movies, there was a major war going on, more than one major war, but there was a major war called the Cold War, and it was primarily between Russia and the United States, and it was going to be a nuclear war if it ever got to be a hot war. And what kind of people were playing Cold War in the 1960s? Those were the grayed out people in Planet of the Apes. They weren't available. Available for what? They weren't available. They only were on their palm. They made a movie, not the Planet of the Apes movie, but it was a movie, I don't know, like 1962, let's say, and it was called How I Came to Love the Bomb. So the humans on Planet Ape that were unavailable, their god was the nuclear warhead. They worshipped the nuclear warhead. In the 1960s, during the Cold War, the grayed out people in our world, not Planet of the Apes, loved their nuclear weapons. They loved all kinds of weapons. Weapons, 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 weapons. I want a new weapon next week. I want a new artillery piece. I want a new fighter plane. I want a new aircraft carrier. I want a new submarine. I want multiple kinds of submarines. I want nuclear weapons launching nuclear submarines, and I want hunter-killer nuclear submarines to go searching for the enemy's ballistic missiles. And I wanted some diesel electric ones because they're useful in certain kinds of ways. I want underground bunkers. I want lots of bases all over the world where I can station my equipment and troops. I want to have spy satellites, and I want to have spy planes. I want to have lots of radars. I want to have distant early warning systems that I'm going to put up way up in Canada and Alaska. That's going to warn me if the Russians are attacking me. I'm going to need I don't know what I'm going to need, but I'm going to need it. So I'm going to need lots of money. And I'm going to need a lot of corporations that can build me my weapons. And I'm going to need a large population of young people to join my armed forces. And then I'm going to need different kinds of armed forces. And then I'm going to need non-armed forces, people that are still the same kind of people. And I'm going to need I'm paranoid. I'm not only paranoid about my enemy, but I'm paranoid about the people who are supposed to be working with me. So I'm going to have lots of spy services that are constantly checking out the enemy, checking out so-called allied countries, checking out. They better be checking me out because, those enemies of ours, they've got ways of brainwashing, and I don't want to be brainwashed, so I want to be checked out. I'm going to have a team that not only checks me out, they're going to check out the president. No one is trustworthy on the planet. No one. Not even me. So if you remember the old TV show, MASH, they had a crazy bastard who was a grayed out person, unavailable. His name was Col Flag. And if you can go back and find MASH, go find an episode with Col Flag. He's a comic character, but that's basically one of these people from Planet of the Apes who's unavailable, mutated, grayed out. Thanks for watching. Don't forget, I make lots of these weird offbeat movies for you. I make them every day.